Hello and welcome to Mathematics Tutorials and Tricks. In this lesson, I'm going to take you through the application of differentiation to kinematics. Previously and in other lessons, we looked at the objectives that are above that. And so we're looking at the application of differentiation to kinematics, and therefore, let's begin. Kinematics. Now, differentiating displacement gives velocity. And what that statement means is if you are looking for the derivative of displacement time graph, you will obtain velocity function. I'm going to illustrate that using an actual example. And so we have a simplified question here where on the y-axis we have displacement and x-axis we have time. And therefore we have displacement time function s is equals to 2t. This one relates t with s, where s is distance that is moved by a certain object within the course of time. And therefore we say this object moved for 15 seconds and tackled a total of 30 meters. It's a very simplified diagram because the function is a straight line, s equals to t. Obviously from here you can be able to point out the gradient, it is 2. Now, whenever we are looking for velocity, we normally have it is displacement divided by time, or total distance divided by time. And therefore in our case would be 30 divided by 15. Remember, 30 is the total distance that the object moved, and 15 is a time that it took to travel the 30 meters. Therefore the velocity will be 2 meters per second. But according to the statement I began with, differentiating displacement gives us velocity, we can approach the question differently. Since velocity would be change in displacement with change in time, and the displacement time function is s is equals to 2t, therefore velocity would be differentiating the s is equals to 2t with respect to t, and the answer would be 2. So differentiating the function s is equals to 2t with respect to t will be 2, and therefore velocity is 2 meters per second. This answer is the same as the answer we got here, and therefore that explains or solidifies my statement that differentiating displacement with respect to time gives us velocity. This is true for even complex functions. Say if it was a curve, or if it was a curve, not a straight line, even the velocity would be arrived at that particular way. Although that time the answer would not be a number, it would be another function, velocity function. Having said that, I want to go to the next part, which is acceleration. And let me say this: differentiating velocity with respect to time gives acceleration. Remember, this is second derivative of the displacement time function. So we differentiated first to get velocity. Differentiating that velocity gives us acceleration, and therefore let's explain that again with another example. We have before us a graph there, velocity time graph, where a certain object has been moving and the velocity has been changing, or has changed from 10 to 40 within 15 seconds. That one there, it changed within 15 seconds from 10 to 30. So we have the horizontal and vertical vertical components of that function. What I'm saying therefore here is that if we differentiate this function, we'll get acceleration of that particular object as velocity changes from 10 to 40. And therefore, this is what we'll do. First of all, we know that acceleration is a rate of change of velocity with the time, and therefore it is 30 meters per second over 15 seconds. The 30 is because the velocity changed from 10 to 40. So the change is final velocity minus initial. So it was 40 minus 10, which gives us 30, and then 30 divided by 15, you get 2 meters per second squared. Now, that is the way we know that acceleration should be done. However, if we use this statement, differentiating velocity gives us acceleration, it would mean acceleration is change in velocity with change in time. And since the function is velocity is equals to 2t plus 10, we can differentiate that, and you get the answer is 2 meters per second squared. Again, I should say this answer is exactly the same as the answer we got there. And that therefore solidifies my statement. And the point I'm trying to explain here, the second point in this matter, is differentiating velocity with respect to time gives us acceleration. And earlier I said differentiating displacement with respect to time gives us velocity. Therefore, let me tie that together by saying the following. Velocity is a gradient of a displacement time graph. In other words, if this was a displacement time function, if you can look for the gradient of the curve that is given, you will be obtaining velocity. And consequently, acceleration is a gradient of the velocity time graph. In other words, this velocity time graph, if you have given a curve or even a line like the one we have there, the gradient of that line will be acceleration. Let's turn to actual examples which are possible in your exam. And so we have the following. A stone is thrown upward such that its height s meters above the ground after t seconds is given by s is equals to the function that's given there. The question is, first, find its height above the ground after 2 seconds, find its velocity after 1 second, and also at the instant which the stone is 30 meters above the ground. So we begin with the first one. Height after 2 seconds. What's the height of the stone after 2 seconds? Well, you should understand that height, which is s, is actually given by 40t minus 10t squared. Therefore, since we just asked about 2 seconds, we just replace t is equals to 2. T is equals to 2 and you put it here. And therefore, you're going to have s is equals to 40 in brackets 2 and on you continue. And the answer will be 40 meters. It will be 40 meters above the ground in the second. If we go to the second question, it says, what is the velocity after 1 second? Find its velocity after 1 second. And therefore, this is what you do. We have the distance time graph. Let me call it displacement time graph. Therefore, the velocity will be differentiation of that. So differentiating s with respect to t, you would get 40 minus 2t, 20t, sorry. But because we want velocity after 1 second, therefore, we put t to be 1 in this velocity time graph. We have just gotten put 1 where we have t there, and the answer will be 20 meters per second, and therefore that is the answer. Remember, we have used the first concept that we looked at when opening the lesson. Last question. At what instance, when is a stone 30 meters above the ground? When is it about 30 meters above the ground? Therefore, we're going to do this. Since the height is normally given by 40t minus 10t squared, we're going to say this one must be equal to 30 at that moment when it is 30 meters above the ground, since this is a general function that gives us the height above the ground. Please understand that that's a quadratic equation which can be transformed. I'm just arranged here in the standard form, and we solve. Please use any formula that you find appropriate. You'll get t is equals to 1 or t is equals to 3. So we would say that the stone is 30 meters above the ground in the first second and in the third second. To illustrate that, I'm going to say this. The stone was thrown upwards that way and comes down. So when it was just thrown, immediately after that, that is 1 second after the departure, it was 30 meters above the ground. Then it went all the way up to a point where the speed of the stone was actually overcome by gravity and started coming down. And so it came down such that in the third second, it was again 30 meters above the ground. And I think that explains why we have this kind of a scenario in the last question. Let's go to another example. Between an article moves along a straight line such that this is a particle moves along a straight line such that the displacement s in meters is given by all that. Where t is a time in seconds. We are told find the displacement, velocity, and acceleration when t is equals to 0, t is equals to 1, and t is equals to 4. Again, this is an actual application of the two concepts that I wanted to put across with a particular lesson that I have before us. And as we begin, I'm going to say this. For displacement, we are just asked where is a stone after t at t is equals to 0? Where is it at t is equals to 1? Where is it at t is equals to 4? And therefore, we're just going to replace 0, 1, and 4 to get the respective positions of this particle in those given seconds here. And therefore, as we begin, since that's a displacement time function, when t is equals to 0, put the value of 0 in this. And so we have s equals to 0 raised to 4 plus in bracket 3 in bracket 0 squared and all that. And therefore, the answer will be 4 meters. When t is equals to 1, again, put 1 in this function here. We're going to have 1 raised to 4 plus 3 in brackets 1 squared plus 4, and the answer will be 8 meters. When t is equals to 4, we do the same thing, and you get your answer as 308 meters far from the beginning point. And that's it there. We go for velocity. Now, for velocity, we don't have velocity function. We only have a displacement function. Therefore, we get velocity by differentiating displacement with respect to time. And therefore, it will be this function here, 4t cubed plus 6t. Now, the question is, where is the stone in the first second? That means you just put 0 where we have t in the velocity time function. And therefore, we're going to have that one. The answer will be no meters at all. That means it hasn't moved. Sorry, so that means it doesn't have velocity when it is not started moving. And this is a general assumption we normally have in kinematics. At t is equal to 0, velocity is generally assumed to be 0. I should say that that's not always the case, but in most of the cases. When t is equal to 1, again put put 1 where we have t in the velocity time function, and simplify, you get 10 meters per second. When t is equal to 4, again do the same thing, put 4 in wherever there is t here, and you get the answer is 280 meters per second. And that way we can see the velocity has been changing from 0 to 10 to 280 and to other values there. We go to acceleration. As I tackle this part, I'm going to say that acceleration is actually differentiation of velocity with respect to time, and therefore since we had this displacement time graph, we change it to velocity time graph. Now we change it to acceleration, which is acceleration time graph. So we differentiate this on here, which is going to be 12t squared plus 6. And this one here is going to be used to operate the questions t is equals to 0, t is equals to 1, and t is equals to 4. Therefore, when t is equals to 0, put 0 where we have t in this equation, and the answer will be 6. So at time t is equals to 0, the acceleration is 6 meters per second squared. When t is equals to 1, put 1 where we have t in the acceleration time function, and therefore the answer will be 18 meters per second squared. And when t is equals to 4, again do the same thing, and you get your answer as 198 meters per second squared. Is it necessary for me to mention the units for displacement is meters, because just like distance in a particular direction, velocity should be meters per second, acceleration should be meters per second squared. Let's go to another example. A particle moves on a straight line such that after t seconds, its displacement s from a fixed point is given there. Find the velocity at t is equals to 3 times the velocity is 0, and acceleration at t is equals to 2. Let's begin with the first one. Velocity at t is equals to 3. Well, we should notice that here we are given a displacement time function. So we need to get a velocity time function, and we get that by differentiating. Velocity is change in displacement with respect to change in time. And therefore, we differentiate that function given there, we get 4 minus 4t minus 15t squared. Okay? The question is find velocity at the third second. And therefore, when t is equals to 3, you just put 3 where we have t in the velocity time graph, and therefore that's going to be what you have on the screen there. Operate, you get negative 143 meters per second. We go to the next part. The question is find the point when time when velocity was 0. So when was velocity 0? That's the point where this function equals to 0. So change in displacement with change in time, which is velocity, equals to 0, and therefore this function equals to 0. Again, it's not arranged in the standard order, so I thought I should arrange that. I get 15t squared plus 4t minus 4. And please, in case you're wondering why I've changed the signs, I've just taken everything here on the other side. Alright, to get this positive, this one becomes positive, this becomes negative. And equate that to 0. Solve as a quadratic equation, at which point you get t is either negative 0.42 seconds or 0.16 seconds. For negative 0.42 seconds, that answer is not sensible because we're getting time that is negative. We don't have such a thing like negative times. Therefore, that's not sensible. That makes us settle for this answer. T is 0.16. So when was velocity 0? At the point when the particle had just moved for 0.16 seconds. Let's go to another part of the question, acceleration. Acceleration at t is equals to 2. How do we find acceleration at t is equals to 2? We have the velocity time graph here, time this function here, so we get the acceleration is differentiating velocity with respect to time, which gives us negative 4 minus 30t. But we want acceleration at t is equals to 2 in the second. So we put 2 where we have t in the acceleration time function, which is going to be that answer there. All right. And yeah, the answer is negative 64 meters per second squared, and that's okay. As we finish the lesson, I want to mention a few things about this particular question, which might be of interest to you. Someone wonders probably, how do we have this kind of answers, negative 143 meters per second, negative 64 meters per second squared, even these two answers? The reason is this object was, I believe, a stone that was thrown upwards and started coming down. When it was beginning, that's at t is equals to 0, this was 0 also. S is 0 because we put t is equals to 0 here, and yet everything becomes to 0. So at 0 seconds, it also had moved 0 meters. Again, at 0 seconds, the velocity is 4 meters because the velocity time function is this one here. We put t is equals to 0, and this reduces only at 4. Okay, we assume it began with a velocity of 4. That's when the particle was beginning to move. Again, at 0 seconds, the acceleration was negative 4. Why? Probably because it was kind of retarding. And that's why I actually think it's a stone that was thrown upwards. Let me also say that the answer we got in part B of the question was velocity was 0 at 0.16 seconds. And this is the point. That's why it is overcome by gravitational force and starts going down. At 2 seconds, the acceleration was negative 64 meters per second squared. Why is it negative? It is deceleration. So, I don't know. This may be controversial, but this is what I thought. But maybe I should say the reason is it's negative and it's increasing negatively, because it's going to be increasing is because the stone is going opposite direction from the direction that it was thrown. So I think I should not say it's deceleration. It is negative. It's accelerating, but towards the opposite direction. That's why it's negative 64. It's not deceleration. To decelerate means the speed is continuing to reduce per given time. This speed here, sorry, to say that the speed here is increasing in the negative direction, not decreasing. At the third second, velocity is negative 143 meters per second. It should be 143 meters per second. And why is it negative? Because it is increasing. Velocity is increasing towards the negative direction. Having said that, I think I'm done with my lesson for that particular lesson session. Check out next to this lesson, posted at the same time, will be an application of maxima and minima. Thank you.